Hey, I don't know if you're back yet.
How are you?
Oh, you're not having that. Correct, that's why I wanted to. Let her this morning, I let her know, say, hey, before we have, they. Yeah. But I'm saying, folks that are. Okay. I think we can have for a forum, online.
Yeah, we're online.
Yeah.
We've got
I feel like
quite a few online, so. We ready, Greg?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do it. Call this meeting order, it's regular scheduled meeting of the Transportation Policy Committee on today's date, Thursday, September 28th, 2025 at 12:30. And we proceed directly with the roll call.
Thank you very much. Bullitt County,
I'm here.
City of Charlestown. Hi Cliff, good to see you. City of Jeffersontown, Mr. Meunier said he would not be able to make it today. City of Jeffersonville.
Present.
Andy. City of New Albany. City of Shively.
Present.
Hi, thank you for joining us. City of St. Matthews.
Brick City, whenever you're in.
Brick City, Clark County.
Here.
Okay, times two. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jack. Floyd County. NDOT. Jefferson County League of Cities. KYTC Division of Planning. Thank you, Cedro. Louisville Metro Government.
Present.
Anybody online? I see Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey.
Anybody else from Metro? Thank you all both for joining us. Thank you. Louisville Regional Airport Authority.
Here.
Hello, Daryl. Oldham County.
Jim Silliman here.
Hello, Jim. Town of Clarksville.
Kevin Beatty.
Hello, Kevin. Tark.
Yes, Chris Ward here.
Yeah, Chris Ward's here.
Oh, hey, Chris.
It's under his
Yeah.
login.
You say Aida, it's like that doesn't look. I thank you for joining us. Let's see. Is anybody else that joined us since then? Hello, Flanner. And then our advisory members today would include KYTC District 5, Tom Hall, thank you for joining us. KYTC District 5, Tracy Lovell, thank you for joining us. And have I missed anybody online? We have, so we certainly have a quorum. Thank you all for joining us today.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate those who join online and those that are here physically with us today. Hope you have a safe trip in and get you out of here and have a safe trip back to your offices. So first thing second item on our agenda is the June TPC minute meeting.
August, sorry. It's supposed to be August. That's a mistake on the thing.
Oh,
Apologize.
well, we got our months kind of off here a little bit,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
We're going over to East Time travel.
Is that what it is?
Let's do
So
it.
it should be the August.
August, yes.
Yes. I didn't catch that. Okay, okay, so we have the August TPC meeting minutes to review and approve. Has anybody had a chance to take a look at them? And if there are no changes or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept the August TPC meeting minutes. Do I have that motion?
Something.
Motion, have a second?
Second.
In a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? The minutes then
Oh.
are approved.
I'll abstain since I was not at the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next up then is the public comment period. Greg, you have that information for us?
Yes, I have one public comment that we received last week. Part of it is a question which we did answer the gentleman asked, but it said, what is currently going on I-64 behind Norton's Hospital? This would be an opportunity to correct Dutchman's Lane to Breckenridge Lane south to Waterston Expressway east and west. Requested that it would be a good time to add a ramp from DuPont Road behind Norton Medical Plaza to the I-64 ramp to the I-264 Waterston Expressway collector to relieve all the congestion from Dutchman's Lane to Breckenridge Lane to the Waterston Expressway. Like I said, we did answer this question about the bridges being For folks that don't know, the bridges are being replaced out there across Bearcrest Creek. So I did answer that and I told him that I would read this into record. But that is, I don't see anything else on the Q&A, so I think that is all we have as of right now. If anything more comes up, I'll bring it up in other business.
Okay, all right, thanks, Greg. And then we'll follow that up with the public involvement
Yes.
report.
That for you. All right, let's go through the numbers here. Website analytics for the month of August, we had 135 visitors for the main page. We had 35 visitors go to the MTP page, and we had 151 visitors go to the Transportation Improvement Program page. So that was both the main page and the tip page getting good numbers there. Social media analytics, Facebook was our biggest lead, over 2,000 reach with 1,300 impressions. Instagram, another strong month out of that, 788 impressions, 19 engagements. Twitter still struggling a little bit there. We had 379 impressions. Most of that, the numbers, especially on Facebook and Instagram, are bulked up by these event videos that I do. So we're talking 10, 15-second videos that are basically just me going, hey, I'm out here at California Day. I'm out here at this. They get a couple hundred views each. So that's one of the reasons we're seeing the big strong numbers, I think, for the month of August, which is always good. I had a couple other events in September, so expecting to see the same similar numbers at next month's report. Events, as I mentioned, we did the Black Men's Wellness Walk, the Fair and Walk, and California Day. We did get a few public comments out of those. Several of them, most of them were just about cleaning the streets. They want to see the potholes repaired. One person did bring up an issue about on 39th Street. Apparently there's some speed bumps on there, but the stripes have gotten wiped out. And so you can't see them at night. She said it's a real struggle. You hit them really hard, they can do damage to your vehicle. Other ones like clean up the alleyways, potholes, but that is the 5 comments that we received from a couple of those events. That wraps up my report. I will entertain any questions.
Any questions? If none, I'll thank you for that report, Greg.
Yes.
All right. Next up on our agenda is item number 5, the Kentucky Rail Plan.
Yeah, so we have Mr. Jonathan Albers of Jonathan's with the company HDR. And Jonathan has led HDR's efforts in the development of the new Kentucky Rail Plan. Jonathan can tell you more about what necessitates a rail plan and what requires a rail plan, but there's a new Kentucky Rail Plan. For those who don't know, I thought it'd be very interesting for this committee to hear about Jonathan's and KYTC's work. So, Jonathan,
All right, thanks.
the floor is yours.
All right, well, give me just a second. I'll get everything set up here to share my screen. So as Andy mentioned, Jonathan Albers with HDR. I'm a HDR's Executive Transportation Lead, and I was also HDR's Project Manager on the Kentucky Rail Plan. And given this presentation in the past, you've seen me present this with Jeremy Edgeworth at the KYTC meetings. I apologize for the repeat, but worked with Jeremy and Jake on the rail plan update. Quick overview, we're going to talk about just quick overview of what a rail plan is and what the update entailed. Go through some innovations that we tried to build into the rail plan update. And then if we have time, we'll do some question and answers. And I do a little bit of a live demonstration of some of the publicly available parts of the rail plan. So what is the Kentucky Rail Plan? The rail plan is a planning document that Kentucky, all states are required to complete. It's in accordance with MAP 21 and the FAST Act. And it's basically a document that states the priorities and strategies for future rail enhancements and rail service in the state. And it outlines rail transportation's role within Kentucky's transportation network. And it also coordinates with other state long-range transportation plans, including freight plan and the LRTSP. And so the 2 goals to the project were both to update the statewide rail plan to meet the FAST Act requirements. And then also to conduct a rail infrastructure assessment, which I will talk a little bit more about. So how is the rail plan organized? It's pretty nice. FRA sets some very clear guidelines as to how your rail plan is supposed to be organized. It's in 6 chapters. Chapter 1 is you define the role of rail. Chapter 2, you talk about your existing infrastructure, and this is probably the one where we put the most effort into it, the largest chapter. Chapter 3, you talk about proposed passenger rail improvements and investments, and that was probably one of the smaller chapters because, as most know, passenger rail has a pretty minor role in Kentucky at the moment. Then we talk about proposed freight rail improvements and investments, a rail plan, Kentucky's overall rail investment plan, and then chapter 6, you talk about your public and stakeholder outreach. So what inspired the innovation? So prior to our rail plan update, Kentucky's rail plan had not been updated since 2015. And typically rail plans are required to be updated every 5 years to be considered current. But the only thing that you are not eligible for without a updated rail plan is federal passenger rail funds. And as Kentucky currently does not accept any federal passenger rail funds, wasn't really that much of an issue that the rail plan was out of date. However, what KYTC started to hear from some of the rail stakeholders in the state was that they were applying for federal grants like CRISI and RAISE for rail projects, and they were being asked by USDOT and FRA, well, are these projects in your rail plan as priority investment projects? And the answer was no, because the rail plan is out of date. And so part of it was to update the rail plan, to get it up to date, to get it to where the investments in the rail plan match what the rail stakeholders in the state was on their priority list. But we also heard from several smaller class 3 railroads that they didn't even know where their priorities need to be because they did not have the staff or the manpower to actually go out and inspect their own rail and know engineering wise what needed to be done. And additionally, anybody that's flipped through a rail plan before, it's a pretty dry document. It's a statewide planning document. But Jeremy and Jake saw a presentation based upon what the state of Virginia did with their rail plan, where they actually submitted their entire rail plan to FRA as a GIS story map. And Jeremy and Jake were inspired by that and decided to incorporate some of that into what Kentucky did in their rail plan. Now, we did go to FRA and ask if we could submit a story map, and we were told no. We were told that they did that with Virginia and didn't want to necessarily go through that again. So we developed 2 parallel documents. One is a standard PDF deliverable, but the second is a GIS story map that's out there for the public, and it actually makes it quite a bit more engaging to read through the rail plan as opposed to just flipping through a static PDF. So this is the project schedule, just to give you an idea of how things went. Started in June 2023, interviewed rail owners, talked to every single rail owner and operator in the state except for one. CN never returned our calls or emails. Completed all the chapters, did public engagement, and then in March 2025, we submitted the rail plan document to FRA. Finalized the story map, finalized the data dashboard, and then where we're at right now, we're just simply waiting to hear back from FRA right now on any comments and or acceptance of the rail plan. So talk a little bit about those innovations. As I mentioned, the field assessment work, this is something where as we spoke to and interviewed the class 3 railroads, we offered for HDRs, rail inspectors, rail engineers to actually go out and do boots on the ground inspections of their infrastructure to give them a prioritized list of improvements that they should be proceeding with in order to bring their rail back up into either usable or more usable condition. So we did TTI, which their rail line runs from Paris to Maysville in Eastern Kentucky, Kentucky West Tennessee, which runs I believe from Murray, and then Tenkin, which is in Hickman area. And for TTI, we did bridge and rail, and the other 2 we just did rail. So for rail assessment, we did high rail inspections and some actual walking inspections where the high rail trucks were unable to reach. Looked at general track condition, ties, rail beds, range conditions, and grade crossings. For structures, looked at general bridge stability, deck condition, hydraulic condition. And then, in the field, we sent our inspectors out with, GPS, data collectors with the GIS interface and, put together these summaries that have, locations of where, track washouts, retaining wall failures, and all these things that we recommended that they go in and repair. So overall, our repairs, a lot of them were about upgrading railways. Too small rails cannot hold, the current, class and the weight of rail car. Grade crossing upgrades, tire replacements, and some of them even upgrading to FRA class 2, which allows them for higher speed operations. And then structural recommendations, some of the bridges would require repair. So another innovation, this is something that, KYTC wrote into the RFP for the rail plan update, was something that they've heard from both rail stakeholders and, policymakers, is that, when they're thinking about investing state money, local money in rail infrastructure, there's not been one place, a single location where they can actually summarize all the rail infrastructure in Kentucky or in certain zones of Kentucky. There have been some different GIS databases, but there's not been one place to go to actually look at what rail infrastructure exists today. So, a data dashboard was developed. So this is the, a screenshot of what the data dashboard is, and if I can make this work, I'm going to do a quick live demonstration of the data dashboard. So, this is the data dashboard. Over here on the left, we have, oops, sorry. Okay, so over here on the left, we have our, there we go. We have all of our data filters. You can filter by railroad operator, track classification, railroad status, county, KYTC district, Kentucky House district, Kentucky Senate district, congressional boundary, MPO boundary, ad boundary, and then there's a railroad crossing thing over there. And then over here on the right, we have our actual data layers. But as you zoom in, you can see it has all of our existing rail track, our grade crossings, our bridges, and even rail accidents. And then up at the top, we have our data summaries, which give us summaries for track mileage, total crossings, total bridges, and then track mileage by owner. So since we are here speaking with KIPTA today, you can go to the MPO. That should be able to go to the Louisville area MPO. And if I zoom out, I've been more impressed by that before I zoom out. You can see it should now show all of the rail in the KIPTA area, but just on the Kentucky side. But we can see in total, we have 513 total track miles, 656 crossings, 94 bridges. CSX is the largest operator, 244 miles. So it allows to go through and get a very quick snapshot of the different rail, infrastructure summaries based upon all of those different filters. And then you can even zoom down if we want to go down to any individual. Give it a second to load, but you can click like on these individual rail crossings, and it should give you a summary of the let's see. Well, I think I might have gotten booted off of the.
Blame the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I can blame the Wi-Fi. But so that is the that's the data dashboard. And if it was working more, I was going to see if anybody wanted to do any. But maybe it's going to probably zoomed in so far that wanted to load the area. But that you can zoom in, you can click on individual segments of track, and it tells you who owns them. The individual railroad crossings, you can click on them, get the crossing number, get the owner, get the crossing type, even down to the rail incidents. Most of this we pulled out of FRA databases. But it's a tool and it's set up. We actually built it on KYTC's GIS server. So it's intended to be a living, fully, continue to be developed, data dashboard. As more data is collected, the railroads can send in information, and KYTC is planning on keeping it going, updating it as things change. So it should be something to be around for a long time to come.
Does that report also designate your crossings that are gated or signaled, or, you have the
Yeah.
numbers on those too?
Yeah, it has active and passive. So the active ones are the ones that have the arms, and the lights, and the passive ones are the ones that just have the signs.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
While he's doing that, if I'm not mistaken, Indiana updated theirs within the past couple years. If
Yes,
I'm not mistaken.
we did, 2 years ago, yes, we did.
So as I said, the GIS story map, we'll see how well it works with the Wi-Fi. But the story map was these are also, it's also available online for anyone to go and visit, published. And covers the same 6 chapters that the rail plan PDF covers, but it covers it in a very interactive way. So I like to show chapter 2. As I mentioned, it's the one that has the most information in it, and it could look like it's going to load. So it's just kind of a scroll-based system. As you go down, we get to our table of contents. You could skip to any one of these sections, but it's very intuitive as you begin to scroll down. It loads in a few images, but the ones that I really like is when we get to these interactive applications. So this interactive application covers all the railroads that operate in Kentucky today. So we start with our Class 1 railroads. See if that map over to the right loads. All right, here it goes. So this shows us all of the Class 1 railroads that operate in Kentucky and their track, but you can also see all of the Class 1 railroad lines outside of Kentucky. And if you want to, you can actually just go over to this map and zoom around, zoom in, zoom out. It's fully interactive. But as you scroll down, we go through each one of the individual railroads, and it actually highlights their track. So BNSF has no track in Kentucky, but they have some lease rights in the Paducah area. And then Canadian National, CN, their tracks there in the western part of the state highlight. CSX, their lines all over the state highlight. Norfolk Southern, their lines through Cincinnati, Louisville, down to Tennessee are highlighted. And then, similarly, if you want to skip around, you can click over here to all of the individual sections. I like the fact that all of the links in the document are live. So if you want to do something like go to the Economic Cabinet website, it just takes you straight there. So again, a neat tool, something that makes it quite a bit easier to read and to get through than, like I said, just simply flipping through a PDF. And we'll take questions at the end, when we can go through and look at any sections of that if anybody wants to. So I should mention that HDR did not work on this alone. We worked with TSW. They were a sub on this. They helped us a lot with the public engagement. But we tried to be a little bit innovative when it came to the public engagement. One of the very first most important things that we did was stakeholder outreach. We talked to the railroad representatives, 13 railroads participated, local management, but we also talked to the railroad's customers, a lot of freight shippers and those that work with all of the classes of railroads. Heard a lot of interesting things from the freight shippers, a lot of frustration with the fact that they would like to be using rail more, but either the infrastructure does not come all the way to their facility, or a lot of them have complained about the quality of service that they receive from the railroads these days. We talked to one shipper that does a lot of gravel work. He said they've actually had to buy more train cars because their train cars go south in Mississippi and don't come back for months. They rely on the railroads to actually bring back their empties, and they're not coming back in time for them to make deliveries to their customers. So interesting problems KYTC can't really do much about. but something to acknowledge in the rail plan. So, one of the things we heard also from the stakeholders was that they were really interested in financial assistance for Class 3 railroads, similar to what Tennessee and Ohio provide. Oh, did I get kicked off?
No. That one you did.
Could you start right there?
I could, yes.
Are you done with the interactive portion
Yeah,
potentially? Because then we can,
I think I
Load it up.
got back on.
okay. Like he's back, says he's back.
It's back.
All right, see if that works.
Yeah, we had it pulled up on the film. Yes, it did.
But during our process of developing the rail plan, Kentucky actually, the legislature passed House Bill 1, which contains some specific grant programs specifically for railroads and for some of the industrial clients. So the Kayase and facelift for the two programs. And so that actually went a long way towards addressing something similar to what Tennessee and Ohio provide. I mentioned the reduction in service from Class 1. And then, they'd like to increase their rail use, but the rail service availability and infrastructure hold them back. We also talked to the public. We had 3 public meetings back in March of 2024. We did Fulton, Louisville, and Ashland, and this lines up with where passenger service either is today or is proposed via the corridor ID program. Did a lot of engagement ahead of time, had 70 total attendees at the 3 meetings. So pretty decent results, but we were also advertising our public survey during that time. Our public survey, we had a lot of good responses, 2,800 total responses to our survey, available in English and Spanish. I will say I learned my lesson on when providing this kind of a statewide survey, I got pre-response questions. And processing 2,800 pre-response questions was not easy. Yes, I learned there's a lot of different ways to spell Cincinnati. That's what I learned going through that. So this is a quick sample of some of the questions we asked and the answers we got. It's things like, what other destinations within Kentucky would you like to be available via passenger rail? So you see Lexington was our predominant answer, although Louisville, Frankfort, Bowling Green were not very far behind. What other destinations outside of Kentucky would you like to be able to access via rail? Chicago, Nashville, Cincinnati, St. Louis were big answers, as well as DC and Atlanta. Things that we heard in other parts of the survey, currently people don't use the train because it doesn't service the destinations they require. People said that they preferred the location and comfort of the facilities. The cost and schedule and reliability were also important to them. And during the whole project, we had a public website out there. Total, we got 11,000 views, 6,000 visitors. We posted the draft plan to this website when it was available earlier in 2024, and we had 2,000 views and 600 document downloads of the draft plan. And then kind of as the final thing we did, as I mentioned, we submitted in March, but in January, we did a virtual public meeting, noting that this is a statewide plan, and we had met in, Louisville, Fulton, and Ashland before. We wanted to give folks that were not in those locations a chance to interact with the project team and see our final plan. So we did 2 sessions on January 21st, one midday and one after 5 o'clock. Where we reviewed the plan, and we did a Q&A session for that. We had accepted questions ahead of time on the project website. So we answered those questions, and then we also took questions during these meetings, which we posted answers to on the project website afterwards. So that's the full update. So any questions or anything you'd like to see on the data dashboard or in the story map, if the Wi-Fi was up.
I'm kicked off now too, though. I have a question. I'll start if that's okay. Thinking about Kip's long range plan update, the new one, let's say, that'd be developed over the next year or 2. Are there any resources in here that might help us and local governments about at-grade crossings, and what criteria might we use to say, what, we should seek a project to make that grade separated? Are there on some of the crossing data?
I mean, you would definitely give you an ability to summarize, either by the full kept the area or county by county where those, at-grade crossings are. And you could also take a look at where, we had pulled in through 2024, the FRA's incident data. So you could also look at where, the incidents are occurring that are, in the same locations as as those grade crossings. If you do zoom around on there, you can see that many of the noted incidents are, vehicle strikes at grade crossings. There are a few derailments and things like that, but it looks like the predominant incident type in Kentucky is, vehicle struck by train.
Yeah, those are good safety projects usually, right?
Yeah,
To eliminate as many of those as we can.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, we thank you, Mr. Albers.
Thanks, Don.
Appreciate it. Okay. Next up on our agenda is item number 6, and that's the Unified Planning Work Program Amendment. And Andy, you have that presentation for us?
I do, so I'm gonna look off your, I'm gonna share your computer because mine's, I got kicked off the Wi-Fi too, so it's good right there.
You good right there?
Back earlier this year, in February and in, I think, April to be more precise, I brought the fiscal 26 Unified Planning Work Program to the TPC, first the draft and then the official final report. As we often need to do shortly into the fiscal year, it's time for an amendment of the UPWP. So next slide, please. Here's a little bit of feedback about, for those that don't know, the UPWP is the document that.
Oh, let's get you back on and you're running for the audio, bro. You gotta take your audio off. That's you. I was trying to figure out who that was.
Okay.
Are you there?
I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm juggling here. You can go ahead and start without me if that's okay. I've got to be attentive to something for the next 5 minutes.
Chris Ward.
Is it Chris?
Yeah.
I was just trying
No, I was
to.
saying that we have a pretty light crowd today, so I don't know how I was going to say.
Ada needs to mute,
I can definitely get started, but I feel like we.
if you can group mute. Thank you.
All right, as I said, the UPWP is our annual document that defines the funding that goes into our NPO planning efforts and the outputs that we put out, the deliverables that we put out. Next slide, please. The reason we need this amendment, there's 3, I would call them relatively minor reasons independently, but worthwhile of an amendment altogether. The first reason that we need an amendment at this time is because TARC has received some information from Federal Transit Administration regarding their planned downtown transit center. FTA has told TARC that that project needs to show up in the regional UPWP. Even though it's not receiving planning funds, it's a planning phase of a major transit project, and so therefore FTA's advice was to make sure that gets in the UPWP. So it's in there. It does not affect any of our planning funds. Those are funded with STBG funds for both Kentucky and Indiana, by the way, that project or the planning efforts are on that one. Second reason is at the time of the draft UPWP and the adoption of UPWP, we did not have the 2 studies that we ultimately chose to fund this year. That is a Louisville Metro freight study and also a study down in Shepherdsville, a Central Bullitt County Transportation Plan, if I'm not mistaken. It has a name such as that. So those are in there by name in the UPWP, the amended UPWP. And then last but not least, Indiana, NDOT allows us to carry over some of our planning funds year over year. In the draft document, we made an estimate of what we thought we would carry over. This amendment shows how many dollars we're carrying over. So all 3 of those are relatively simple changes, I would argue. Next slide, please. TTCC said, blessed it earlier this month. They recommended the approval of this committee here today. Public comment period ended last week and we did not receive any comments. That's accurate, isn't it, Greg? And so at this time, I'm seeking TPC approval of these small but important amendments to our fiscal 26 UPWP. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay. If there are none, we'll need a motion then to approve the United Planning Work Program amendments. Any other questions? If none, all those, I need a motion to approve those amendments. Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. A second? Any other questions? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. All right, next up is item number 7, Kentucky cost increases. And Brady has that for us, and he's with us remotely. Got you up here, Brady?
Yes, thank you. Been sick the last couple of days, so I didn't care to share that with y'all. So I'll be presenting this remotely today. Okay. Kentucky cost increase requests. On July 17th, there was an announcement that there would be funding available from the STBG cost increase reserve. Post that announcement, KIPTA staff received about 15 applications totaling over $22 million. All of these requests were then discussed at the Kentucky Biannual MPO Dedicated Project Review Meeting, which took place here at KIPTA on August 25th. Those recommendations were then brought to the TTCC a couple of weeks ago and approved or recommended for approval to the TPC, and I will discuss those with you today. Just a reminder of where we're at for the STBG cost increase reserve in our calendar. According to our project management guidebook, there are 4 specific calls for cost increase requests. However, if there's an emergency cost increase request, sponsors can submit at any time, but there are 4 specific ones that you can apply for. And we are in the August call for cost increase request period. This one is different from the other 3 in that this is the first opportunity that sponsors have to make funding requests for phases in the upcoming fiscal year as well as the fiscal year that is ending. All of these requests are for existing MPO dedicated projects and will be in fiscal year 26. As a reminder of how much is available, there is still about $1.5 million remaining in the fiscal year 25 cost increase reserve. And then there is the full estimated amount in the fiscal year 26 cost increase reserve. When you add those numbers together, it means there's a total of about $6.3 million of STBG cost increase reserve available at this time. And these are a list of all of the projects that were that requested funding. You will see in your packet just the list of the recommendations to vote on today. The first one's from Mount Washington, the Historic Memorial Multi-Use Trail Project, that they are have a cost increase for their construction phase for $839,000 federal. These are all the federal amounts in the column on the right. English Station Road is a project that is asking for an increase of utility funds of $2.8 million. US 42 is a project that is currently has their construction programmed in fiscal year 26. However, it's unlikely that phase will actually, very unlikely that it will be let in fiscal year 26. So that timing deems it ineligible from this process here. So the working group at the biannual meeting decided that is a project that they would not recommend funding at this time, but would perhaps maybe at a later time when the construction letting is more imminent. The next 3 phases are all the same project from the University of Louisville, KIPTA ID 2982. They have slight increases for their design, utilities, and construction phase. The next project is an Oldham County project, their LaGrange Underpass. Andy was just talking about underpass projects to separate grades. So this is another one in Oldham County. They have a small design request of $120,000 federal and a very large cost increase request of a construction phase of over $11 million federal dollars. The group decided, based on the funding available, that it would be appropriate to grant this project some additional design funds at this time to keep the project moving, but that the large construction increase request should be better handled in the call for projects discussion that will be happening in a few weeks. And a couple other projects from Oldham County, some increases to design for their Mattingly Old LaGrange Road Trail and their Kentucky 22 Clore Lane intersection improvements projects. There's a project from Louisville Metro, River Road, multimodal improvements, 3rd Street to 2nd Street or 7th Street. This project is actually already let, and their construction bids, I believe, came over what we had programmed, and so they were requesting an additional $400,000 to be able to hit the 80-20 match for that construction phase for that project. The next two are also Louisville Metro projects that that were not recommended for a cost increase approval at this time. The first one's River Road. It's a $4 million cost increase request. That's just a large amount given the amount of money that's available at this time. And Mutual Bank Road as well is a fairly large amount. Both of these projects are not as ready to use the funds immediately as some of the other ones, because you may ask English Station Road, well, that's a large amount as well, but that project is in a spot to where once we get it the funding, it will be able to utilize that funding fairly quickly, and that was deemed more important. Last two projects on the list are from TARC. There's some increases for bus and access improvements. One is for construction phase, one is an increase to design. At the very bottom here, these are the only two projects that are slightly different than what you see in your packet. The amount in your packet is slightly higher. That's because when I wrote the information in the packet, I included the total cost increase needed, federal and local. But that's incorrect. It should actually be the numbers I'm showing you on the screen here that are slightly less than what you'll see in your packet. So once again, $6.3 million available. The recommended amount to be programmed at this time is 5.1 million federal dollars, STBG dollars. And then if this recommendation were approved today by the TPC, that would still allow $1,133,019 to be made available for the remainder of fiscal year 26 in case there are other cost increases that are needed for the remainder of the fiscal year. That's all that I have. Action is requested to approve the recommended cost increase requests. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? Okay, if there are none, I then need a motion to approve the cost increases for the projects as listed. So I need a motion to approve these cost increases. Is that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Carried. Okay, Brady, also to you have these phase shifts coming up on item number 8.
Yes. Pull that up. Okay, we have one phase shift exception request from a Kentucky sponsor here as we are at the end of fiscal year 25. As a reminder of the guidebook rules, projects in Kentucky are allowed to shift their phases 2 times without any extra steps needed or extra steps for approval. If you have to shift a phase a 3rd time before the obligation of any right-of-way utility or construction phase, any implementation phase, then you have to come to the TTCC and the TPC ultimately for approval for an exception approval to allow this 3rd phase shift. And that's what we're looking at today is a project that is looking to shift their project phase a 3rd time. This project is from Jeffersontown. It's Rockery Parkway sidewalk improvements. KIPTA ID 2619, state ID 5-198. They are asking to move their currently programmed fiscal year 25 construction that is funded with STBG funds to fiscal year 27. They currently have $529,008 programmed of STBG funds for this project. Their reasoning is this project had some delays with COVID a few years ago. And they've also had some adjustments in administration and have been kind of reevaluating the town's priorities. And so they are now at a spot where they're confident moving forward with their project timelines and are requesting for this exception request approval to fiscal year 27 for their construction phase. Action was requested on this proposed phase shift exception request.
Are there any questions? If none, we need a motion then to approve the phase shift exemption request.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second. Any other questions? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Carry. Okay, thank you very much, Brady. Hope you get to feeling better. Get some
Thank
rest this weekend, okay?
We'll see him again in a minute. Or we'll
Yeah,
hear from him again in a minute.
Yeah, you coming up later, that's true. Okay. Next is item number 9 on our agenda, and this is administrative modifications to the fiscal year 2025, fiscal year 2028 transportation improvement program. Chris,
Thank
you
you.
got that for us, right?
Yes, I do. Okay, so this is gonna be the administrative modification number 4 in the new code. And 29 to the MTP. I don't have a long presentation today because I included a draft in the meeting packet. So you can review some of the projects there. There's 34 projects included in what will be the final draft. TPC approval is not required for this, but the presentation is for everyone's information. So the draft is in the meeting packet, however, there have been some edits, which I'll discuss now, and following this meeting, I'll resend the group the final draft. I thought about sending it before, but I wanted to make sure that the changes that Brady just asked for were approved first. Those changes are in the final draft, including that phase shift that was just approved. We also have a lot of other phase shifts that were discussed in the Kentucky biannual meeting, and some phase shifts that are to projects outside of the dedicated program. In the final draft, we did have to remove the first project that is in the packet, KICT ID 3364. That one is still pending in CMAQ approval. So that one will be on hold until we have that. Also, the minor adjustments that I made, I just had to get some clarification from some of the project sponsors. So the 2 TARP projects, the Floyd County 1558, I think 321, I think was maybe Oldham County 2479 and 2733 Metros project. Those are a little bit different than what you'll see in the packet that was included. And as I mentioned, all those cost increases, well, most of the cost increases that were just approved are included in the administrative modification. I think we are just waiting on an application for one, and one of them has to go to the amendment because of other changes that are happening to that project. And then finally, in the draft in the packet, it's missing 2981 and 3141 from Oldham County. I just missed that in the first push, so those are included in the final draft that I'll send you all later today, and I'll be shipping it off to NDOT and KYTC possibly this afternoon or tomorrow morning to get those in the STIP. Anyone has any questions, I can take them now, otherwise
Any questions? This item's for information, so we appreciate the information and thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is item number 10, and this is the Kentucky Indiana Transportation Excellence Award.
Yes, want to let everyone know that nominations are now open for this year's Kite Award. We'll be taking those until October the 24th, so you've got about a month to get those projects in. For folks that are new or may not remember, this is an annual award that we give to a project that soars above the rest. Essentially the best project in the region. Last year's winner was the New Albany, or was it, I'm thinking 2 years ago?
KYTC.
KYTC, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah, Bardstown Road. And yeah, it's Bardstown Road redo last year. And then New Albany won the year before. So like I said, there is a link. If you go to www.kipta.org/transportation, you will find a button there that takes you to a form that you can fill out. Just name the project sponsor, why you think it's worthy to win. Staff will be taking all those and voting, and I will be going around and getting video of all of the projects that are nominated. So if you do have a project that you would like to get some drone footage for, this is a good time to get that done as well.
I
So
would definitely take Greg up on that. If you have a
Yeah.
good project that you say, hey, this is a fantastic project, come get some pictures, some aerial pictures, so you all can sell the next one or something like that. Please do. Take this opportunity.
yeah, well, like I said, that will go, October 24th is the deadline for that, and the winner will be announced at the November annual meeting on the 25th.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Okay, next item on our agenda is item number 11, and this is a call for the projects. And then Brady, you have that information for us, is that correct?
I do. Let me get that pulled up here. All right. This is just a no action on this item. It's just an update of where we're at in the call for projects process for our STBG funds in Kentucky specifically. This is the estimated timeline of the call for projects process. As you can see, we have just passed September 22nd with our public review period. So our public review period is ended, and KIPTA staff is gathering those comments, and we're going to put them together as a part of a packet for the TTCC working group to evaluate during their first meeting the first week of October. I believe that is October 6th, if I'm remembering correctly, is the date of that TTCC working group meeting. There's a second meeting scheduled if needed in the third week of October, but we are hoping, ideally, we can get everything we need to get done in the first meeting. A recommendation from this working group will then go to the TTCC and TPC in November. And then we will process those funding adjustments as quickly as we can via admin mods and an amendment in the tip. This is a list. I'm not going to go over all of these projects, but this is a list of all of the projects that requested funds via this call for projects process. You'll notice there's a couple of projects on here that I just presented to you in the STBG cost increase reserve. The top three, I believe, are all ones that I already talked about. River Road Multimodal Improvements 3rd Street to 7th Street was a project that was just recently awarded the funding request, whereas River Road widening and Mutual Bank Road below it, the second and third rows there, were not granted a cost increase request. So there's a few projects on here that that will not be considered in the call for projects process because they already received their funding, which means that there is a lesser gap between what is available and what is requested, which is good news for all of the rest of the projects. Just to highlight that specific thing I just said here is we're estimating about $25 million being available from the STBG program, potentially even a couple $1 million more, as there's a couple of projects that may be removing themselves from our program voluntarily. And then the total amount requested when accounting for those projects that just received cost increase approvals goes down to 38 million. So there's about $38 million of federal SDBG funds that have been requested, and about 25 to 27 to 28 or in that range that we are anticipating being available. And so there's no action requested. If there's any questions about the call for projects process, I'd be happy to address them.
Any questions? If none, thank you again, Brady. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hope you feel better soon.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next is the MPO Director's Report.
Thank you. I want to recognize a few folks that joined us either right as we were finishing the roll call or shortly thereafter. Mr. Tony McClellan from NDOT. Thank you for joining us, Tony, and Julie also at NDOT. Thank you both for joining us. Tanya Hickton, we heard from her a minute ago from Federal Highways. Tanya, thank you for being here. And then Nick Creevy from Floyd County is on the line too. So hi, Tanya. Saw you on there. Anything you want to say, Tanya? You're welcome to chime in if you'd like.
Oh, no, just thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. No, thank you for being here. Another announcement that's worth mentioning for those, especially for those of you that attend the TTCC meetings or typically attend the TTCC meetings. Our October meeting is going to be canceled. We're not going to have it in October, but we plan to be back. The TPC will indeed meet on the 23rd. So no October 8th TTCC, but we'll see you guys back here for October 23rd meeting.
Anything else?
I guess one other announcement, there'll be more to be shared at the Board of Directors meeting. We should plan for the November TPC meeting to be held. As many of y'all know, we usually have a special date. Fourth Thursday of November is awkward because that's always or oftentimes Thanksgiving, right? And so that meeting will be hosted on Tuesday of the Thanksgiving week. And that will be hosted at here in the city of J-Town at the Jeffersonian. So that they'll host us that day. So the November TTCC meeting, we should plan for it to be on the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. And it'll be offsite, it'll be at Jeffersonian, but we will plan to have, and I believe we have had in the past that facility included a Zoom option for everybody to join us. I hope you'll join us in person, but if you need to join us on Zoom, we've got you covered. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy. Is there any other business? Anyone have any other business they wish to bring up?
I just have a
Yes.
question, if that's all right. And this is about agenda item 7, those Kentucky cost increases we talked about. So it appears they were approved today. And I was just curious when those might be modified or amended into the
If they were eligible for the administrative modification, it'll be by tomorrow, maybe today.
Okay.
Okay,
Excellent.
Chris, do you remember which one needed the full amendment treatment?
It was a metro project.
Okay.
I believe it was the 3rd Street to 7th Street River Road due to it not being in the tip currently.
Probably so. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
But just to clarify, the rest of them were in that admin mod packet.
The U of L ones, we didn't have the application for
Okay,
yet, so.
but we'll be in an upcoming admin
Yes.
mod. As soon as they get that to us, we'll make sure it gets administered as quickly as possible.
So the U of L ones are not because they they haven't put in the paperwork request.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one. I think Brady was one of the jobs to them.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Any business at all? If not, we will then entertain a motion to adjourn. We have that motion? The motion, the second, thank you. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.